Recording. Anything you say and or do will be recorded. You don't want that on.
All right, fellas. So what I'm going to show you
I
today.
see your. Just we see your Slack right now.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna give you that screen on. All right,
Yeah.
Cool.
So I'm going to teach you guys today. There's 3 securities that I did. They're pretty easy to go through. So we're going to go with basic. Then we're going to upgrade to something called digest, and then OAuth. So the tutorials are sparse and like giving like super detailed information on how to do it. They just tell you, hey, do this and do that. But I'll try to explain as much as I can as we go. So just like any project, right? You just create a new project. I'm gonna use Spring Assistant.
David, do you find that this glitches out a ton? Like you're trying to select your packages and it shows the check mark on like packages you didn't select.
Yeah, it does.
It
does.
it pisses me off. I stopped using it because of that, but continue. I'm sorry. I just had to ask to make sure it wasn't just me.
As with anything, you know, you got to work through it. So like I just do that.
Yep.
So for the group ID, I'm going to use the same thing with the package name, except for the fact I'm just going to put API at the end. And artifact ID just. I could spell today. I'll do the same for the project name. So you're gonna need Spring Web, Spring Security, and if we need anything else, we'll add in. So the only thing that kind of upsets me is this thing. It always shows up on the right. I'd rather it be on the left.
I know how to make that permanent if you want.
Oh, cool. Yeah, let me know. So one thing I finally discovered this today, was this auto reload settings. You go to the open wrench here. It's awesome. Whenever it decides to show up, if you do the build tools and you do it without any changes, it actually helps when you start making changes to the POM XML, and it'll actually automatically load all the stuff that you need instead of trying to figure out the keystrokes. And even when I would do that or use the execution or the menu, it just for some reason it wigged out and wouldn't work. But if you do it that way, it works perfect. All right. So for our basic application, we're gonna create another package inside of the API. We're gonna call it config. We're gonna make another one called controller. So in the config, let's create a new Java class, and we're just going to call it web security configuration. Just give me a moment, fellas. All right, so what you're going to need to include, what should I say, import. Org.springframework.boot. Spring application. We're going to import org.spring framework.boot. Spring Boot. I'm sorry, that auto configure after the boot. That Spring Boot application. So here you're gonna add Spring Boot application. And here we're gonna put, oh, whoops, looking at the wrong page, fellas, sorry. So we're gonna change those imports. I was looking at the wrong one. Save them for another. All right, so you're gonna add that configuration. You're gonna import configuration from Spring Boot, Spring Framework context annotation. And you're gonna add security, config, annotation, web, builders, HTTP security. Then you're gonna add configuration, web security configuration adapter.
I've never seen so many packages. That's crazy.
It gets worse.
Oh, fantastic.
So don't let it fool you, it's gonna get worse.
Security is a serious thing, though.
Yeah.
You got to know this stuff.
So you're gonna make your application extend the web security adapter, so that way you can use all that stuff that's in web security adapter. And you're gonna do an override, and it's a protected. All right, lowercase b. Protected void configure, and it's going to be HTTP security. Should already show up as a class. Just call it HTTP. And you're going to want it to throw an exception. All right, so this is the part that should be like familiar from like all the other stuff that we've done before. So you do HTTP, and that's a function. And you do the dot notation, and you can add stuff, so authorization. Authorize. Authorize requests. So that's your like main one, and then you can dot add to that any request. It should be authenticated. And this is where like the basic HTTP, the basic security comes in. And you do a .and. So that should be your web security configuration. Double check to make sure everything's okay. So it seems like we're missing something. So let's look at the file. Start a security, start a web. All right, so if you want, you can add, what you're gonna need to do is add this dependency. I missed it. So org.springframework.boot, what we want in the artifact. It's just simple Spring Boot starter. And if you did that little wrench where I told you if you do any changes, as you can see down here, it's already resolving the dependencies and it's uploading the stuff. Let's move on to the controller. So in the controller, you're just gonna type in, you're just gonna make a simple hello controller. So we're gonna import org.spring framework.web bind annotation get mapping. Just one moment. Okay, so the next, you're just gonna copy all the way from annotation for the import. And you're gonna add request param.
I was curious, if you just type the annotation, does it not auto import with this package?
It does, but I wonder if David if it's not working for him. That's why.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
for
wondering.
me, when I do the stuff, it doesn't auto import, so I end up
Okay,
having to
I
type
was
it up.
curious. Yeah, and that's fine. If this is how you want to go with it, that's fine. I was curious if this is like one of those packages that maybe it's too deep down the nest that the system can't find it. Maybe I wasn't
No.
sure if that was the thing, but
You have to put me out there. Thank you, Cliff. My Mac's kind of old and it doesn't want to cooperate.
Well, mine doesn't auto import, but it does say to do like Alt Enter to be able to automatically put it into the file.
part of it also, I'm hoping that maybe someone would know how to fix it too. That was part of my reason for bringing it up, is that maybe someone could tell you, oh, this is the way to do it. This is how to get it to auto import moving forward. So see, Christian might be able to help you. If your auto import doesn't work, Christian might be able to help you get it working for you. Because yeah, you didn't have to type all that. That sucks.
Yeah, no, I got
no,
you.
some teacher of ours used to told us we had to type everything out. I don't know what his name is. I think it starts with a rip. It rhymes with rip.
Yes, but
sounds like
typing everything out except for the auto system. Now you're typing in the annotation, but you don't need to type in that import system. The system will do it for you. I'm sorry. Those things I don't think any human or any company would expect you to memorize those. So I think you're safe.
I know. It just makes it easier for me instead of going to over everyone that's like red and then going like right click and whatever.
Yeah, all good. I was just checking. That P should be small, right? In public. Yeah. That's why it's yelling at you. There you go.
So this is what you're going to type in that is required equals false. Some of these methods, you can just dilly-dally along. Default value. We're going to type in career devs. User. Sorry, your pictures are in the way. All right. Then inside, we're just going to return hello and the person's name. All right, and now this is where the fun begins with all these imports.
I'm gonna see if I can.
Looks like you still have an error on config.
Yeah, I'll figure it out in the build. Let's just do the code first.
Okay.
So all right, so in this one, we're good. Now in resources, just double check here. You're gonna add a new file. We're gonna call it application.yaml. And so this is where you can actually do. It's kind of like it's a config file. Don't ask me why it's called YAML and why they don't like to use a properties file, but it's pretty easy. So here you're gonna type Spring, and whenever you indent, it actually applies to the thing above, just like in Python. Excuse me. So you go security, user. I'm gonna create a name. Just for this purposes, we're gonna do test user. Password is gonna be test123. And if you want to get fancy, you can go all the way back for the server. And here you can actually decide what port it's going to be. Usually the default is 8080. I'm going to do 8083. So let me do a build here and see what we're missing. It doesn't like that one. Why? Configuration, web security. Browse exception.
Interesting.
Oh, okay. Sorry, guys. Get rid of this at the HTTP and it should fix it. I added that in by accident. So you should get a good build.
I was just about to ask about that.
All right, so we have a clean build, so we should be able to run this now. All right, so we're in business. Here it is. It's loading up Tomcat. So if you notice, it asks us for a login. And if you finagle it, it's going to tell you bad credentials, and it's built in for the basic. So our username was test user. And our password was test123. If you sign in, I haven't gotten this to work correctly, but as you can see, it works. So that's how you do simple authentication. But the reason why you don't want to go with this, someone remember how to do the web tools? Is it F12?
You should be able to right click.
Inspect.
Inspect, yeah.
I always forget.
You should be F12 too, I believe. It's F12 or F11. I think it's F12.
It should be, yeah, it's F12. As long as your what's it? Function's not on, I don't know. Something like that.
Where are the headers at?
Isn't that done via request, right?
No, I'm trying to show where it's sent for the headers.
You should go to network for that. Yeah, X out of that, click network. Refresh the page. If you click on that, you should be able to see the headers for that request. Where you see the word name, see the word hello down below. No, on that side. Hold on, annotation. Where is it?
Ah, okay.
And yeah, headers. There's the token, isn't it?
Yeah,
Is that
that's
the
not
token
the,
you're looking for? No, that's not what you're
no,
looking
that's
for.
not the one.
You can also look at the response headers right there if you want to look at the response. Nope. You might, to show us what you're looking for though, you're probably looking for the response headers of the login, not of the page. So you might want to log out and have this open. I feel like that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, well, I was gonna show them how like it's base 64, so it's a very simple
Hack.
it's a very simple hack. So basically, what ends up happening is preserve log. That's what we needed to do.
Yeah, but like I said, you can always close this tab and open a new tab. If I'm right, because you're not using any sort of cookies, you're not saving the system
No.
for persistence. So open a new tab. It should bring you right to the login page now. Yep. We'll get rid of the word hello. Didn't you just go to the root directory?
Matt, why do you test my patience? I apologize for my agent, Mac.
It's all good.
The soldier that handed it down to me. So.
Yeah, just click on the end, get rid of the word hello. Does that bring us back to the login page?
No, you
Or
have to
go
have
slash
slash
login.
login.
Oh, slash login. Oops. Right. I remember that now. There we are. So now open up the inspection panel. All right.
If you click the login that's above localhost, the red localhost on that right side, it'll give you the information for the headers. Yeah.
So that's what you sent to the server, this header, these headers. This is from the front end to the back end. The response will have what the server sent back.
It should be one that says authorization. Well, there you can see it through the form data. So it can easily be reverse engineered. That's why this is just a basic security. So, and the next one. So you got all that works. So we're gonna close this down. Do a new project.
That's strange.
Same thing with this one. We're gonna go with Spring Web, Spring Security. The Spring Boot DevTools.
Oh, to David, right click on Maven, and put it to the left like you like it. And then to save it, your nav bar,
Mm-hmm.
just go up to window and hit store current layout as default. So in the window, and then store current layout as default. And
Nice.
now Maven's always gonna be on the left.
Sweet.
That basically stores however you have your tabs set up or however you have things set up as the
Great.
default when you load up IntelliJ.
Now, if I could only make it keep this auto reload thing, that would be awesome.
Where's that auto reload again and what? It's
So
been
when
built,
you
right?
click on the Maven tab, the
Yep,
little wrench right here for build tool settings, go to auto reload.
yep.
And anytime you make a change in that POM XML, it'll automatically do all the stuff it needs to do.
Gotcha.
It's been such a pain, like when I was adding stuff. I finally figured that one out. I figured that one out today.
Nice shortcut.
All right, so we're gonna do the same thing here. I can get back to project. Thank you, computer. Appreciate it. You're gonna add two packages here. One being controller. And the other one being config. So in config, we're just gonna add admin security configuration.
That auto refresh is under settings, build tools, and you can change it there to default to any changes.
Right. That's what I do every time I open it up. What I'm saying is if I can make it the default selected.
Go to settings, build tools, and then you can apply it there.
Okay.
But it's not gonna stay for every project. It's gonna default back. To keep it, you have to do
Really?
settings for new projects. Yeah. To make it permanent, it's gonna change each time you reopen IntelliJ. It'll do it for your session, but when you reopen it,
Pretty
it'll,
lame.
yeah, but there's a setting it's in the file tab. When you do the drop down, it says settings for new projects, and then you can do it in there, and it'll keep the whatever you change for projects after.
Oh, new project settings for new projects.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So in the config and in the controller, you're going to put another hello controller, admin security configuration in the config folder, and you're going to, in the resources, you're going to add application.yaml. So in the admin security config, I'm just going to type it out and then we'll do the right click and add the import. So we're going to extend web security configure adapter like we did before.
Look at that.
Oh, now it works. Okay.
Nice. If you usually when you hit tab, it might, but if not, sometimes you just gotta right click.
Yeah. All right. So for this public class, we're gonna add at configuration. And we're gonna hit at order.
What's that one for?
To make sure that it kicks off first.
Oh, okay.
So you want to, it'll read through this. It took me a while to figure that out too, but it makes sure that this admin security configuration is the first thing that's loaded when the Springboard application loads up.
Yeah, notice how above the order thing is not coming from any sort of like the authentication system or anything like that. It's coming from Spring Boot directly. So Spring Boot's systems say which packages are loaded in what order. This can be important for certain packages that rely on other packages being configured first.
Awesome.
And since security is a very high level item, you usually want that to be the first one done.
So this is the authentication point for digest. And it's going to be private. And as you can see, it's already preloaded. It's a class that already exists. So we're going to name this function get digest entry point. So, and we're also going to declare a variable of digest entry point. So we're going to do dot set real name. And we're going to set the key. And we're just going to make it like super simple. We're going to return it. So this next step is going to use something called the bean encoder. It's an encryption. Sorry, so capital P for password. So you do password encoder. We're going to call this function password encoder. And it's going to pass it through this thing. It's considered obsolete. I didn't see a newer version of what they were using, so I just continued to use it. It's called no-op password encoder.
Hmm.
And that's going to scramble your password. And next thing we're going to do is configure the authentication manager. So this is going to be protected. So we're going to use authentication manager builder. Just going to call it auth. This is going to throw an exception. Because if this bombs out, you want to know why. And this is where the fun chain begins. So we're going to do auth dot in memory authentication. And we're going to chain that. With user. And we're going to add our test user. So this is the password, and we're going to encode it. So password encoder dot encode. And we're going to give this person the role of a user. And we're going to add another one. So we're going to use the and. Basically all the same stuff with user roles and their password. So we're going to change user in here to test admin. Make their password to admin secret. And we're going to give this user the role of admin. So using this in memory, you can set up the users with the usernames and passwords and everything else. So that should be that. Let me double check. More fun stuff. I'm gonna do another bean.
David, don't forget your semicolon on 41.
Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not really sure what this does, this user detail service, but I'm guessing it services the user. It's pretty self-explanatory, right?
Sometimes it's how these things work. You got to use a little bit of logical reasoning and logical deduction.
Right.
So do be aware of that. That is fine. I will say that I think on line 30, they're trying to tell you that you don't need that first part anymore, because I don't see the line through. That line through means it's deprecated.
Right. But it doesn't work
Okay.
because that no op whatever it is actually the thing that's encoding. So you can still use it, but you can't. I didn't see any other like I was looking for a similar tutorial for the basic, and I couldn't find anything to replace it. So
got it. Something to look into later then. Cool. Anyway, keep going.
So So we're gonna make sure this throws an exception. This is the shortest code. So it's gonna return the super, so it's gonna return the original user detail service. And now we're just gonna add a filter. It's gonna be private. This is also gonna throw an exception. You guys are gonna be mad because the next one's gonna be like super fast. So you're gonna declare the variable. So digest filter dot set user detail service, and inside of that, so we're going to use user detail service bean.
Note line 48 has an error on the exception. Misspelled or something?
Oh, I'm sorry, that's why.
There you go. Cool. Gotcha.
So many lines of code. All right, so we're also going to use from digest filter to set the authentication point. And then we're going to return digest filter. And now we're gonna make the admin page. So here it's an override. So HTTP security, like we did in the last one, HTTP. Throws exception. So HTTP dot AMP matcher. So I'm gonna throw admin slash star add filter. So this is where the digest filter comes in. Then you're going to throw in some exception handling, which is self-explanatory. Then we're going to add the authentication point. And we're going to use the get digest entry point. And I'm going to authorize requests, AMT matchers, /admin /*. And we're going to let it know that it has the role of admin. And that's it for the config. Now we go to the controller. Make sure it's a REST controller. We're going to do two mappings. So our first route is just a regular hello.
Do you want to put that? Yeah. Yeah, you got it. You know what you're doing.
I'm on it. I'm a little slow on the uptake. It takes me a while.
You're going back and forth between your notes and stuff. I get it.
Yeah. So we're going to do an add request param. Required equals false, default value. Again, I'm going to say career devs user. Like we did before, we're just going to return hello. What's the name? On this mapping, we're going to do, for this route, we're going to do admin /hello. Hello admin. What's the name?
But you need to add curly braces on the mapping to get the name to output.
Sorry, say again?
like on the get mapping, put forward / curly braces name. And it should output the name because you're requesting a parameter.
What are you saying right here?
Just before the quote.
Use line numbers.
Oh, line 10. Put in right there, yeah, where your cursor is, put / and then put curly braces, and then put name. And it should output the name now because that's where it's accepting it.
Similar to the colon idea, the colon system we used to use in Express.
Well, let's find out. If we breaks and knows who, we know who to blame.
Yup.
Yep. That's why it was default value. You didn't have that there, so default value put out the career devs user.
All right, so we should be able to build now. This thing always gets in the way. So again, the application.yaml is there if you wanted to add stuff. And the thing is in the application.yaml, just for this one, if you wanted to change like the server port, you can do that, but we don't have to. We can just go to the default 8080. Now we just wait for this to run.
David, mine's saying that it failed to determine a suitable driver class. Did you say we did or didn't have to put stuff in the YAML?
You don't have to put you don't have to put it in the YAML. Like you see, mine came up with a hello.
Yeah, you got to put name in there though. Put / and put a name in there.
You don't have a default route that does not include the dynamic item. You only have a hello / name, so you only have a dynamic route. Hello without a slash is not a route that exists.
Oh, I'm saying my application won't start. It said it failed.
Oh, that's interesting.
Dude,
give us a second to see if we can get this going. Hold on, put like clip at the end of hello, Darius. David.
No, it still came up that way because
So we didn't get the names. We didn't pull the parameter, but we did get the route trigger. So we might have to relook at John's video because I think he covered how to do the dynamic URLs. I'm gonna even pull that up quick. You keep going. I'm gonna pull that up. I'm trying to remember how to do it.
It's a path variable. The other one's a question mark requesting.
Yeah, the question mark one's a query. We're looking for parameter.
Yeah, you want a path variable, not a request variable.
So
I want to take a look quick. You move forward. If anything, help Christian figure out why his isn't loading.
Yeah.
So
what are you getting for the error?
It's saying application failed to start, failed to configure a data source URL attribute is not specified, and nothing could be configured. Reason, failed to determine a suitable driver class. So I feel like I need to have something in my either properties or YAML.
No, there's nothing. My YAML's not running, so there's nothing in my YAML.
No.
So and mine just ran. So let's look at your palm.
Let's see.
All right, so you got Spring Boot Starter Security.
Yep.
Spring Boot Starter Web.
Oh, wait a minute. Starter Start a test, start a security test, start a web, dev tools, start security, yep, web, yup, dev tools, yup, test, yup.
Those are the only 3 that I'm running. So you must have an error somewhere on your in your case.
Everything, nothing, there's no errors in here. Nothing saying that.
All right, well, let's take a look. Share your screen.
And once this gets working, I did find out, I think I figured out where Jim was hinting at, but we missed in your other code why the name isn't working. I think you have the wrong annotation on it.
David, I need you to not share
Right,
yours.
David, you're a host. You're a host, so you have screen share priority. You have to disable yours in order for anyone else to.
Go ahead,
Alright,
Christian.
let's just. I mean, I don't know what you want to look at first.
I just want to look at your. I want to look at your terminal.
Scroll up a bit more though. I want to see the actual error message. Oh wait, hold on, down below actually. Hold on, and then see the error message there. So take a look at the error message.
Oh. He's got to configure his database first, because if you don't configure a database location for a URL, your Spring Boot will not work. So
Yeah, but we didn't do that with this. David didn't do that.
yeah, but it looks like you're missing. It says to consider filing for embedded H2 and looking for a URL.
All right, do me a favor. Scroll up, please. All the way to the top where it first notes the error. All right, scroll down.
The error is right here.
So see, it says something wrong with Spring Framework.beans.
So
that one right there. So let's look.
Wait, I'm a little confused. We didn't bring in the JDBC package though, did we?
No, we didn't.
Why is yours trying to load JDBC?
Yeah.
News.
So wait, you mentioned earlier how you set like a default project like settings, right? Did you accidentally set your default project settings to include JDBC by default?
No.
So why is your system trying to load JDBC? You should not be
Well,
having
if you look at the
JDBC
file
load.
file anyways. Go down.
Yeah, let's see if JDBC is here.
JDBC right there.
Why is
So
that there?
see that's probably the assistant that I didn't actually mean to import to add this as a dependency, but it had it checked off. So
There it is. Yeah, let's kill that. Let's rebuild. Do you have to do that build trick again or no?
it should
If he does the run, it should automatically.
Cool. All right, let's try it. See, mob session. If you're stuck with something, get other eyes at it. Someone's gonna see something that you didn't see.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Okay, we still got something. Hold on. Let's go back up though.
No, it's still the same.
Hold on.
Same
Keep going
one.
up though. Is JDBC still there? So yeah, still looking for JDBC. Is there any other dependency for JDBC though? You check for everything. Make sure they're all gone.
In the test section.
Spring security. Good. Oh yeah, test now.
Save and rebuild.
I was gonna say,
Reload the project again.
rebuild it.
All right.
Yeah, now we no longer have JDBC, so it shouldn't be trying to load that. Still trying to load JDBC.
Now do me a favor. Go to that Maven thing again.
Click that.
You hit the
Here.
monkey wrench.
That thing, yeah.
Yeah, it should automatically have deleted all the stuff.
Hit the refresh button on the left there. I don't know. Try that.
Now go back to build up at the top. I'm telling you right now, what you're gonna have to do is clear out the build.
Go to
So
the
the
top.
build
At the top.
where it says build, refactor build,
Rebuild it, right?
rebuild project.
Like that. There it goes. I can see it actually doing something at the bottom now. Let's try it now. Gotta get JDB out of here. Nope, still there. Dang it.
It's persistent. It's like a cockroach.
Seriously.
See, it's saying in the boot auto configure.
Well, yeah, you'd have JDBC, but you're not setting it up. You're not configuring JDBC, and it needs to be there since you have it as a system. JDBC needs a data source.
But where am I using?
You can set up a phony data source just to appease it, to make it just go through. Even though
Well,
you're
let's
not
do
using
that.
Yeah,
Let's do that, Jim.
well, that should just be in properties, right?
it. Yeah.
So if it doesn't recognize it though, and there's no connection, I don't think that's going to work. It's going to say it could not make a connection to the data source.
We just need to figure out how to remove the package. Like, wondering if it might be faster to just rebuild the product. Then again, we got all those files we already just typed. Yeah, never mind. What I would say though is like, let's go back to the lesson though. We do know where your problem is. You're loading JDBC, and you shouldn't be.
Yeah.
You've added a package that wasn't there. So I will say, I think we're at 9:30 already, and I have the fix that we were looking for. Yeah, we're 9:30 already. Let me at least do the quick fix on that path item you've been trying to do, because Jim was on the right trail. So load up your system and go back to those routes.
All right. Share my screen.
All right, head over to the routes. Your IntelliJ. And it's this thing right here. This request param is actually not that. It is supposed to be called a path variable. I don't know if the required and default values are still allowed for that, but I do know it's supposed to be a path variable.
Yeah, I don't know if that
At
is
path
true
variable.
either.
Capital P. There you go. That's how you get variables out of the URL. So I think what you were doing, yeah, I don't know if the required might be there, but what required is kind of default already. So required doesn't really fit, and required shouldn't be there. You don't need required anymore because it has to be required, because this is the only way this route triggers is if you include that item. So if you don't include the name, you already know that this route won't trigger. So this route has to have something here in order for this mapping to trigger. If you just do the hello with nothing after it, it doesn't trigger this get mapping.
Right.
So that's why there's no required or default item. It has to be included. Rerun it. And so, yeah, you need to do the same thing, I think, in 18 possibly, in order for that to work as well. But you go ahead. We'll do that, though. Do we need the, hold on, the parentheses? We add those later?
I don't have
we did the
any on mine, but I don't know. It could be have.
I don't think we did those. Yeah, I don't think we did the parentheses. No, I just remember that. Yes, just an annotation, not a function. So it might not work because the parentheses are on line 12, but we'll try. Let's see if this works. And if it fails, that's because the parentheses are there.
All right, I found the issue. It's because I had batch dependencies in there too.
Ah, so someone was depending on JDBC still.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. I figured that might be it, but I didn't know which one would be. And yeah, I figured that might still happen. It's not loading because of the, oh, wait, 8080? I thought you were 8084, weren't you?
No, I didn't put anything into the YAML.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Get rid of the two parentheses on line 12 after path variable. It's just path variable string names, just a string. It's just an annotation. It's not an annotation with parameters.
So get rid of
Path
this.
variable, nope, the parentheses. Parents. Yeah, those. Refresh. Rerun. And then, yeah, just go to the URL /hello/David or Cliff or Jim or whoever. Somebody.
Lane.
Lane's not here. So you won't even know it. You can't recommend somebody who's not here. That doesn't work with the joke with the ongoing run.
Make a computer part of the class. Because it's not here.
Yeah, she's always with us.
All right, so the JVM is up.
There we go. Yeah, I thought it was 8083. Thought so.
No.
It's gonna bomb out because it's
We
not.
went back to 8080. Okay, let's go back there.
I didn't put,
Link. There it goes. And there we go. We get the parameter again. Yeah, always keep track of that difference. And this is something that I would always struggle sometimes with Express as well. Remember the difference between params, queries, and body. So there's the 3 locations you can send data through to an HTTP request. You can send data through an HTTP request via the body, and that's usually done through posts and puts. Gets and deletes don't usually use the body, but you can. You definitely can use the body, and a get and a delete is just not common for a get and delete request to include data in the body. Post and put almost always include body data. On the counter side, get requests and delete requests tend to include URL or path or query parameters. That's the question mark that then has a key equals value, ampersand key equals value, ampersand key equals value. You can send multiple items through the URL. So in this case, to see what that would look like, David, for a quick second, get rid of the slash there. Backspace one more time. Do a question mark here and do name equals Cliff. This is a query name, sorry. And so this would be a query parameter. And I think what you were doing before when you did the request param, I think that's where those were. Those, what you were typing in there would have been that. What you were doing was dynamic URLs, and those are more modern and these more modern systems. So Spring Boot has that, Express had that. That wasn't a thing in the past. Very few systems actually would read from the URL. That's why query parameters were a thing. More commonly now, you see dynamic URLs taking the place of queries.
Yeah.
So that's what you see nowadays. But yeah, so yeah, as you can see here, we would need that extra path param in your route for that to work. That's why you're getting null right now. You don't have the annotation of path variable. That's why that came back to null. So,
yep.
But yeah, that's what, so just, it's good to remember those 3 different areas. You have the dynamic URLs, query parameters, and body. And just remember how you want to, and just keep in mind how you access those. The request param is through the question mark system. Path variable is through the URL, as you see here, the dynamic URL system syntax. And then body is through the body. Again, if you need a refresher, double check John's video on it, and you can also watch the full rest video that I just put up as well. That came from Cohort 8 AM.
Yeah.
So you can watch those to double check to remember how to do those. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. So what I'm going to say for this, around 9:30, unless there's more that you need to go over, I don't know if you need to show more, but everyone really should try, because this one's a complicated one. That's why when you first hear about it, I said, hey, here's Spring Boot Authentication as one lesson. It comes up first as like, oh, does it really need its own single thing? It's just authentication, add on. But as you can see, it's a fairly complicated, complex thing, and you do need to set it up right. And that's why it's its own class. This is one of the few classes that I usually say that sometimes we do need to do a second one. So what everyone needs to do, so between now and Thursday, your primary focus is to get the gateway system up, is to try that challenge. But from now to Monday, and most likely I'm going to give this as a challenge of the weekend. Your challenge of the weekend will be to get your own authentication system working with the database. So using the cohort, so using the video from yesterday and with Hibernate, over the weekend, you're going to be challenged to make a Spring Boot system that just has a very simple SQL database that creates a user account and allows that person to log in and log out. And that'll be the challenge over the weekend. And if we need to do a follow-up video on authentication, we can always do that. Again, I can give access to the morning groups video to see if that helps. We can do another lesson later on. I can give some resources. I can give some other videos that people can look into. You guys can do a mob session together to do it. Actually, what was his name? Gabe wants to see some of you guys and actually do a mob session with you guys in the near future. And so that could be something where we do a mob session on authentication. You guys work together to get a fully a good auth system working, where one person's coding, but everyone's helping with the syntax. So one person's doing the actual live coding, but everyone's trying to help make sure it actually works. You have people researching things like, okay, who knows what the next step is? And everyone goes off to try to figure out what that next thing to type is. What is the next thing we need to do to get this thing to work? And so as a team, as a collaboration, you figure out how to make something work. And so that's an option we can go on as well. So over the weekend, good. Today to Thursday, your challenge is the gateway system. Getting your Spring Boot system to accept a GET request and send out a request to an API, and one that is customizable. We want to get that done. But after that, your next big thing is authentication. You want to make sure that this makes sense. So over the weekend, your challenge will be get a login system working with a registration and login system working with a database over the weekend. So very, very simple database. It's just a model with a email, password. That's it. No other data. But you want to make sure you can register a new email account with a password that's encrypted, and allow that person to log in and get a token so that they can access a single hidden page that just says hello. As you can see here, that just says hello. They can access the registration and login page all they want. But when they log in, now they have access to the other page. But if they try to go to that page before logging in, they get redirected to the login, or redirected, or just told not allowed. One or the other, however you want to do that other page. And honestly, this doesn't have to be front-end based. This could be done via Postman too, where if you try to go to this, if you try to access certain data, like you can do it. I'm going to clear this a little bit up because I want to make it a little simpler. Because I want to avoid front-end stuff as much as possible. Can you do the front end? Go for it. If that's fine, we can just do the text like you did here. That's fine. Another option you can have is on the authentication database system that we were talking about. There's a GET request, so you can have 3 points of data. Here, I'll show my screen. I'll show me again if you want to. Yeah, there we go. What I was going to say, so what you can do as an example for the login system to make sure that it works. When the person registers, they enter email, password, and a phrase or name or word, whatever that is, a secret word that is not a password, but just something, a third point of data. There's a GET request that will return that third point of data. That's it. That's all it does. But it only returns that data for the authenticated user, so whoever that person is, So if you try to access that route and you're not logged in, you get nothing. You either get told no access, not logged in, or you get sent back to it responds with no data. Because remember, APIs aren't really validating that you're logged in or anything like that, technically. They're not checking who you are. So when you access the data, you're going to send the authentication. The system will say, yep, you're logged in. Here's that data that you put into my system. That's secret. If you're not logged in, I'm just going to send back a 403, unauthorized. I believe that's 403, right? Yeah, I think that's it. 403, I think is unauthorized. I think it's 403. No, it's 401. 401 is unauthorized. 403 is bad form, bad request. 401, reply back with a 401, say, nope, you're not allowed to access this. No data for you. So that would be the challenge over the weekend.
Data for you.
Via Postman, send in a registration form, send in the data for registration, 3 things, email, password, secret data, secret info, favorite color, whatever. A put route or a login route that just takes email and password, verifies that this person is the authorized person, and validates and gives them some sort of identifier that lets them be able to be validated on the system. Then they want to be able to send a request to the backend and say, hey, I'm an authorized user that wants to access my favorite color. If they're logged in, send back the favorite color. If they are not logged in, do not send the favorite color. Send back a 401, not authorized. So that's going to be what we would challenge over the weekend. But again, for Thursday, your challenge is gateway. So don't worry about this yet. I will bring it back up again on Thursday. I will mention this again on Thursday because by then the video should be up. So you'll have this video up. And again, I will also share any of you, if people go through this and they're missing something, any questions, please ask them so we know if we need a follow-up or if we need more resources. That's the goal of this. You need to play with this first and figure out what you can and can't do. Do some of your own research. Take this kind of platform that David has given you guys and use this to learn the other final pieces that aren't there and how to use it for what you're trying to do. Sound good? All right, so everyone has their requirements for Thursday. Get this gateway working. You will be demoing on Thursday. And again, if you aren't able to join Thursday, I will say, Emilio, actually, you are teaching on Thursday. So Emilio, if you need to, because if your lesson needs a little more tweaking, let me know. I may say that you can move your demo data Monday for your gateway, but that means you can't work on it between now and then. You can only work on it after Thursday. Does that make sense? Or are you good for Thursday already? Wait, is it Emilio or Che? Emilio, right?
Yeah, it's me on Thursday.
so.
I might need to go on Monday, but I'll let you know.
Yeah, let me know. And so that way we can do the gateway, because if you can always do the gateway stuff, and if anybody needs any additional info on the auth system, we can discuss any questions on Thursday on that. Go a little deeper on that if people need to. All right, I will see everybody on Thursday then.
I
See you
have
later.
a question.
Go for it.
I already have my gateway set up that is taking a path variable to be able to return. I use the news API, so you
Uh-huh.
can put a path variable in to change the languages of what news is coming in.
Cool.
Do
So
you want
you did the language system. All right.
yeah? So do you want
Now,
is a path variable fine, or do you want a request one? Because I was
well,
thinking
now here's my
trying to do
next
a
challenge for
request
you.
header.
So here's the next challenge I have for you now. Take that though, and now make another variation of the query. So is your path variable going to be the useful item, or now let's say, so right now they can use the language. So they can go news/language, and they go news/English. Well, now
Yeah.
what if I wanted to search for category,
Okay.
not include the language? What if I wanted to do language and category? So these are
Okay.
those things you got to start thinking about, and how do you want to change up your system, and what might be the best structure for it. So now, if you have it done, that if you have one of the minimums, what you always want to do is like, what's the next hardest thing? What's the next phase in this? What's the next challenge I can do to myself? All right.
Okay. I just
Yeah.
didn't know. I wanted to meet the at least minimum, and then I
Yeah.
could always go from there. I just wanted to make
Right.
sure I had at least.
I think,
minimum.
yeah, that was the minimum. That was the minimum you needed to do. You're
Okay.
good.
All right. Good. I can go further
Alright.
from there. Good. All right.
Take it easy.
All
All right,
right.
Jeremy, stay on.
Have a good one.
Take it easy.
Bye bye.
Bye, everybody. Take it easy, David. Good stuff. You lose him?
Wait, hello?
Hey, there you are. I'm
All
gonna
right.
do that.
All right.
Cool. All right, so for you,
You're still recording.
Oh, right.